right, y'all. Welcome to the Clearing the Air podcast with D and Q. All right, so today, very hot topic, man, in the basketball world. We're talking about our boy Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers, the point guard.
Yes,
Man, look,
sir.
D, man, man, you go ahead with this one, man. This is you.
Man, first of all, let me say this. I'm not surprised. I think it's a long time coming.
So wait, what are we talking about?
All right, so we're talking about Ben Simmons and his awful performance in the NBA playoffs this last round versus the Atlanta Hawks. So just a little backstory. Philly was the number one seed, got past Washington, playing the fifth seed Atlanta Hawks. I think most would agree that although the Hawks are probably one of the hottest teams in the NBA playoffs, them and I would say maybe Phoenix, I think most would agree that Philly has a more talented team than them and should
Exactly.
have beat them.
Exactly.
So Philly lost in 7 games, and 3 of those 4 losses they lost at home, and they were one of the best home teams all year and have been in recent years. Like, it's just hard to go into Philly and win. They have a rabid fan base, so it's just hard to beat Philly in Philly. So for the Atlanta Hawks to beat them 3 times, including game, I want to say 5, in which they came back from what was like a 25-point deficit. They came back and beat them.
Right.
So to do that is just, I don't want to say unheard of, but it shouldn't have happened. And then you got the whole narrative of Doc Rivers, how he's allowed. I think he holds the record for most comeback losses, or losing series where other teams have came back from that. Because he was with the Clippers last year and they had a 3-1 lead over Denver and lost. So it's a bunch of narratives going on. But for this one, we're going to talk strictly about Ben Simmons, who has been in the league for 5 years and refuses to work on his jump shot. He doesn't have a jump shot. He's a horrible free throw shooter. And he set the NBA record for having the worst free throw percentage and shooting percentage in playoff history. So that's over, think of the bad free throw shooters over the time. So that's Shaq, Will Chamberlain, like all of them. Like, he has the worst percentage.
I think it was like 34% or something
34,
like that.
Yeah. I want to say that. I was thinking 38, but maybe 34. It's somewhere in there where it shouldn't be, right? And so, Game 7, it just kind of all came to a head. He didn't shoot. It was almost like he was afraid to shoot. There's one particular play where he spent off on Gallinari, had the open dunk, and passed it off to Thibault. Thibault got fouled, only made 1 or 2 free throws. So instead of getting a dunk and possibly an and one opportunity, you pass it off and only get 1 point. And so Doc was asked after the game, can you be a championship team with Ben Simmons as your point guard? He said, I don't know. Joel Embiid said, he felt like that play was the turning point of the game. And, Ben is just he's been getting it the past couple of days, man, from analysts, other players, fans. Philly fans, bro, they are not playing. They stomping on his jersey, burning his jersey.
Yes,
I could just imagine his social media is probably in shambles right now.
Turn the comments off.
Nah, they on, baby. They on. Public page, keep the comments on. I think last I checked, he was over like 20,000 something comments on his last post. So just bringing y'all up to speed. So that's where we at right now with Ben Simmons. So that's what we're going to discuss on this one right here, this episode right here.
So you done already kind of, talked about the performance with the Hawks. And so I was looking at something and it showed the 7-game situation for him. He had, let me make sure I'm speaking facts. So game 1, he was 2 for 2. All right. He in other words, he took 2 field goals, took 2 shots, made both shots. Game 2, he took no shots. Game 3, he took 1 shot, made 1 shot.
Yeah.
Game 4, 5, 6, 7, he took no shots.
0 shots. And this is all in the fourth quarter. This is the fourth quarter.
Yes, fourth quarter.
Yeah,
fourth
in
quarter.
the fourth
My
quarter.
bad. My
so
bad.
that means when it's crunch time, money time, he took the last 4 games, he took no shots in the fourth quarter.
Right. And you're not talking about blowout losses. So you're talking about, had he been a contributor, you know what I mean? What would that have looked like if he had put the pressure on the defense for the Hawks? You know, what that would have looked like. Again, you mentioned the spinoff. He could have been spinning off on Gallinari all game.
All game. All game.
Know. So let me ask you this question. We basically talked about his performance. We just basically kind of pulled out stats. A lot of slander. Do you think he deserves it?
In one word, yes. Very much
okay.
so.
Okay.
Because go ahead.
Well, no, because so I'll ask this question, and I think it's going to lead. So you mentioned about him being in the league for 5 years, refusing to work on his jumper. Are we saying, because I would agree, are we saying that he deserves the slander because of his refusal to work on his game? That's one thing. Are we saying, would we say the same thing if you see him making efforts and it just still doesn't translate into the game? Like, why do we say that we believe he deserves the slander?
It's his refusal. It's his refusal. He just, I mean, coming out of high school, coming out of college, he had everything except for a jump shot. Like that was always the scouting report of him. He was the number 1 player coming out of high school. He went to Montverde Academy in Florida, powerhouse program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Played with like D'Angelo Russell, all of them. They were just he was the best player on the floor. He was the most talented player on the floor. At high school, you can get away with not having a jump shot. You 6'10", you know what I mean? You just the best player. College, he didn't want to be there, first of all, but he went to LSU, played through the motion. That team didn't even make the tournament. You know what I'm saying? They didn't make the March Madness tournament. Then they declined the invite to the NIT, like, oh, nah, we too good for that, blah, blah, blah. You couldn't even get your team into the tournament. You know what I'm saying? But, that's a whole nother issue because, that's whether cats from high school should be able to go right to the league. So that's a whole nother topic that I'm sure we'll get to eventually. But he didn't want to be in college. So you get to the NBA, you're the number 1 pick, rightfully so. You hurt your whole first year. I think broke a bone in his foot. So sat out the whole first year. And then, the whole process, you know what I'm saying, Philly going through the process, this and that. You get Joel Embiid. I mean, out of this world big man, 7 foot, can shoot. You know what I'm saying? Philly fans have seemed to really love Embiid. But Simmons, though, that's been your scouting report. You don't have a jump shot. And the NBA is different, bro. Everybody nice. You ain't going to be the nicest player on the floor every night. Everybody can play. You going against professionals, professional coaches that's going to come up with professional defenses, professional tactics. You can't get by no more without having a jump shot, bro. Yes, you're an amazing defender. Yes, you're, I think, 2 or 3 time All-Star. Yes, bro. But when it comes down to all that's nice during the regular season, in the playoffs, you're going to need a jump shot, bro. And now it's definitely getting mental now. You know what I mean? But I really think it's his makeup, bro. Like he just, that like foreign players, they kind of have like that stereotype where they just, kind of cool, you know what I'm saying, laid back. He's from Australia, bro. Like I really think Ben Simmons could care less about getting a jump shot. He done got his money, 5 years, 190. That's generational wealth. And that's guaranteed. He's gonna get all of that.
Yeah.
So he probably like, why? Why do I done got this far without having a jump shot? So I think it's warranted now because something needs to change, bro. He's been getting by without having it. Nobody has held him accountable for that.
Right. So that it just makes me, we kind of talked about it. What do you think he needs to do to become a better player? What does he need?
So I'm gonna read this quote. And the quote said, this was a quote in regard to Ben Simmons. He doesn't work, he doesn't listen, and everybody around him is family, and he's constantly babied, unquote. So,
Oh, that too, yeah.
right. And when you think about it, that sounds 100% correct, bro. If you got nothing but yes men around you that are saying, you did it, you got the money, blah, blah, blah. Like, I could see his work ethic being lazy. They had a video of him warming up, I think in game 3 in Atlanta. He was shooting base shot and missed them, had to miss like 8 out of 10, which is like real casual, laissez-faire, shooting them. Like, I really think I don't want to say don't care, but his work ethic is not where it needs to be, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, it's not where it needs to be, dog. It's just he don't care. If you're being handsomely rewarded for something,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden people are telling you need to change or do this and that, like, you're gonna be a little hesitant too. You're gonna be like, well, how I've done it so far has gotten me here. Right?
Yeah, no, because like you said, you're at a different level now, and it comes a point in time where there has to be a change that's made. So if I answer that question, I don't think it has anything to do with what he needs to do on the court to be better. I think it's here. And so, shout out to Kobe, RIP to Kobe. Um, you know, I look at Kobe and I say, man, he had one of the toughest mindsets for this game. Um, and you know, it's certain people that you see. I don't agree with Stephen A. saying that Devin Booker's the next Kobe, but I can appreciate people who had a love for Kobe, because if you love Kobe, then you love his work ethic. If you love his work ethic and you've seen his success, you probably would want to follow it. A lot of the big time players have, even down to Kawhi, have worked with Kobe. So I think it's a mental thing. The problem is, like you say, if you're being babied by family can't get you to the next level. Unless you had a pro basketball player daddy, and even then you might not be able to. So for me, it's the mental part that he needs to get better at, because you become mentally tough, then you can hit your free throws. You become mentally tough, then you can begin to say, you know what, I'm going to do what I need to do to become better, because this just isn't working. How many times do you need to be in the playoffs, get put out in rounds that you clearly should be victorious? It's just too much.
But all right, so let me respond to that, because I'm not denying that it's mental. I think the mental part plays a huge part in it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because I think that separates the good from the great.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the great players, what mental was crazy. You gotta think about it. You gotta, let's say it's a game 7, you on the road, you down 1. You have to be mentally strong to be like, I don't care about nothing of what these thousands of fans are screaming. I don't care that I'm getting doubled. I don't care about nothing. I don't care that I've shot 3 for 25 this game. I'm gonna get this ball. I'm gonna shoot the shot. It's gonna go in, and we're gonna win the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That definitely takes mental fortitude. Mental fortitude. But what I'm saying about Ben Simmons is your mental can be off the chain, but if you ain't putting in the work, bro. One thing about Kobe mentally was out of this world, but also he was getting up 5:30 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
right? He was putting up 5,000 shots daily.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like his work ethic, that's what the Mamba mentality was. It was about that work ethic. You know what I'm saying? In addition to the mental. And I think Ben Simmons has gotten by so far naturally on his God-given talent. He's a 6'10" point guard with ridiculous handle, ridiculous passing ability, ridiculous defense. But now that you're going against professionals, they're going to take that one weakness that you have, well, two, free throw shooting and lack of a jump shot, and they're going to expose that. So now your other attributes are going to be minimized.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's where the lack of work ethic comes in at, because now the two things that you need in order for your team to be successful, you haven't gotten better at. And now it is mental. And now it is mental, because now they foul you. They doing hack a Ben early in the fourth quarter. So you might go a whole 8 minutes and they just fouling. They bringing in the 12, 13 man on the bench just to use some fouls. And now it's going to be mental. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what I think though? I don't think you separate the work ethic from the mental. Because I feel like, I'm gonna just say this, I don't feel like you're as strong if you don't have the fortitude to put in the work. Because of Kobe's mindset, the strength of his mind, that's what made him different to say, hey, yo, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to do X, Y, and Z. Because they talk about chasing rings. I don't think Kobe was chasing rings. I think he was chasing Jordan and all that came with Jordan. And Jordan had that mental mindset that was, I'm going to be the best. I don't think this kid, I don't think Ben Simmons has that. We talk about LeBron all the time, but I don't think he has that. And so because he doesn't have it, it doesn't translate into his work ethic. That's so I combine the two, because it's weak to think that you got all the because being mentally strong is not the same as a strong ego. You can have a big ego, but be weak up here because you don't know what it takes to do what you need to do. So for me, speaking on his mental, right? How do you think he felt when Doc said what he said about being able to win a chip with him? What do you think about it? And then how do you think Ben felt about it?
Okay, so me personally, I liked it. A lot of people thought, Doc maybe threw him under the bus and maybe hurt his trade value by saying that. I liked it, bro, because it was honest. It was brutally honest. I liked what Embiid said, how that was the turning point. Embiid had a couple terrible turnovers for a quarter. He didn't say nothing about that. He was like, that was the turning point. I think people were at their wits' end. I thought all the slander he got was warranted. Now, what do I think Ben thinks? Honestly, bro, for the first time, I think Ben finally gets it. I mean, they showed his post-game press conference, and he took accountability, bro.
He did.
Took accountability.
He did.
And I don't think he's ever experienced this type of slander. Like, he getting it from everybody. Like, the whole world is coming down on Ben Simmons right now. And so if this don't spark a change in him, then nothing will. I don't think he'll ever be at this low of a point in his professional career. Basketball speaking. So if it don't spark a change in him, you know what I'm saying, then I almost think it might be a lost cause, bro. I just think he just gonna be is what he is.
Okay, and so that leads to the next thing, but I'm gonna make a comment before we go to the next thing. And so I agree. I feel like this could be a turning point for him, but it could also make him cower if he's not mentally strong enough. Because now, nowadays everybody's in the comments. KD in the comments, beefing with people you're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be ignoring. So now I feel like with this social media world we live in, you could take everything to heart, and it's coming from everywhere. And then your coach gets on national TV and says what he says. So honestly, I think this is the telltale time. And I go by what you said. If this doesn't make the change it needs to, nothing will. So having said all of that, do you trade him like Stephen A says? Like I think
Magic.
Like Uncle Shan says.
Uncle Shan.
Or do you work with him this last year and say, we're going to give it one more go? What do you think?
All right, so I'm gonna switch it up. Right? I'm gonna switch it and ask you, what do you think? But I'm gonna put a layer to it, right? I'm gonna answer, but I want you to answer this first.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Sixers, what do you do? Do you keep them or do you try to trade them? If you're Ben, what would you like to do? Would you like to stay, considering all the vitriol you've gotten from Philly fans who we know are just crazy, right? If you're Ben, do you want to stay or do you need to change the scene? And if you're another team, do you trade for him?
All right. So
Philly's perspective, Ben perspective, a potential other team.
So Philly. I'm not Philly, but given if I was Philly in the way a lot of these NBA teams are, um, they're probably gonna want to look at their other options. What can they get for Ben? The problem with that is trade value. I feel like his trade value is impacted because now if he ain't hitting free throws for you, if his mindset is where it is for you, what can I do with him? What can I get? And so now let's go to Ben. Um, Unfortunately, Ben is not going to be a change of scenery that changes your mindset per se. A change of scenery. Um, that's why I say that's a loaded question in a sense, because you can say, well, there have been people who have they've gone out of that environment, they've changed, right? But it was an internal change that was made. It had nothing to do with the scenery. Excuse me, know how life is. You can be in the same, you can change sceneries but remain in the same season of life over and over and over and over and over. What was the last one? It was Ben, it was Philly.
And another team. If you're another
All
team,
right.
would you trade for Ben Simmons?
All right. And so another team. I'm not so sure. And if you did trade, you might want to, you might in your mind say, I'm not offering as much. I'm not offering us a potential star that you think is quote unquote the same. And then we're just gonna mix a draft pick in there or a couple of draft picks. If you listen to what Kobe said, and I think this is a good transition. If you listen to what Kobe said, look at what the kid is doing now, and he does not have a jump shot. So if you look at it from that standpoint, that all depends on what that potential GM, if that GM has the same mindset that Kobe does, and they're going to make him put in the work, which is sad that you would have to make him, um, then it may be a different outcome. But a lot of these teams, they want what they want and they want it quick. Like they want to trade for you and they want to be in them finals. You know what I mean? So it's so much to say when it comes to that, and you don't know the mindset of these GMs. I pass it back to you again.
All right, I'll answer all three. If I'm Philly, I'm trading him.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple fact that, one, he's shown no desire to want to work on his game.
Right.
And not work on the game that he's comfortable working on his part of the game that he needs to work on.
Exactly.
Two, I think it's been proven that him and Embiid don't work together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just clogging up the lane. You know what I'm saying? Like Ben, he's effective when he's got some shooters around him, when he can handle his stuff in the paint, blah, blah, blah. But if you got big man down there,
Clogging it up,
then that can't happen. And then now you're going to push Embiid out to the three. And yeah, he can hit threes, but he's 7 foot. You want him to do damage in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Get the opposing team's big man in foul trouble. And three, I know it really, you take into account the fans only to a certain extent, but I think the city has spoken, dog. Like, it takes a certain player to play in Philly. And I don't think he's it, bro. I think the
Yeah.
fans and I think the fans have spoken, bro. I think the fans have spoken. So I think, Doc came out the next day and said, "Hey, we got work to do. We gonna get with Jim. Get with Ben, get in the gym, this and that." So I think they're gonna do that to try to say maybe work up his trade value because, like you said, his trade value is the lowest it's probably gonna ever be. You gotta think last year was talks of him being traded for James Harden. It was talks of him, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I think they're gonna work with him to try to get his trade value back up, but I think you gotta move him if you're Philly.
Yeah.
If I'm Ben, um, I don't think I want to go back to Philly. Again, I think the fans have kind of spoken, my coach has spoken, my teammate has spoken, the city has spoken. I think it's so much vitriol. I don't unless I get in the gym and work, work on my mental, which if I'm him, I'm doing anyway. But unless I do that and I'm fairly certain that I can come back and make an impact, I gotta go, bro. I gotta go. Cause they're not gonna be easy on me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's gonna be tough, bro. It's gonna be tough. And the bad thing about it also is it ain't gonna matter what I do in the regular season. It's gonna matter what I do a year from now. So I gotta wait the whole calendar 365 to prove I could be
Off P.
75%. I could be 75% from the free throw line in the regular season next year. You let it drop to 40 in the playoffs, then it don't matter. And I hear you about changing scenery, dog, but I think for some people, for some athletes, it does matter. And I think for Ben to do that, I think he got to get out of Philly. I think more
Honestly,
importantly, he got to get in the gym. He got to get in the gym,
yeah.
see a
Oh yeah.
psychiatrist or whatever, work on that mental. But I think
Yeah.
it change the scenery work good for him. If I'm another team, would I trade for him? It depends. Um, I think there are a couple of places where he can go where he can flourish. If I'm
Mm.
Golden State, yes, because I got enough shooting around where he can man the paint, run the break. Can you imagine 6'10" running the break, passing to Steph or Clay? You know what I'm saying? He would kind of be, I guess, like their Draymond. You know what I'm saying? Draymond
Right.
get the rebound, play defense. You know what I mean? So if I'm
But
Golden
what you got to
State,
give up though? That's the
so
thing.
that's the thing. So they talking about Wiggins right now, and the money kind of adds up. Wiggins got a crazy contract too. So the money so they saying like Wiggins and a pick, and then they would probably want James Wiseman. I don't know if I want to give up James Wiseman just yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Rookie, well, he'll be second year player next year. Can shoot, can hit the mid range. You know what I'm saying? Can rebound. If I'm Golden State and I can trade Wiggins and a pick for Ben Simmons, I would do that. They saying maybe Portland for CJ McCollum. Okay, but that's a shooter you taking away from Portland. So and
Yeah, but
then
they
you got
talking about breaking up too. So kind
right,
of.
right, right. But you taking a shooter away from Portland, and you got Nurkic in the paint. So he not Embiid, but he's still a big 7-footer that's going to be in the paint. So you kind of got the same problems in Portland. So those are the two
Yeah.
teams I heard. I think it's case by case. If I'm a team, I don't know if I'm trading for him, dog. Maybe I'll look into it because his trade value is so low and I can get an all-star, all NBA defensive player for, I don't want to say nothing, but you know what I'm saying? Definitely not something that he would have been, what they would have asked for last year.
Right.
But other than that, I don't know if I want to bring him into my organization. Like I said, it would be case by case, Bob. And if it was a steal, if I could steal him, then yeah, you know.
Which could
But
be worst case scenario for him and for that team, because it's two things, which again plays on the mental. If nobody really wants me and I just got picked up as a steal, then what role or value do I have on the next team? Like this, I feel like it's stuff that could cause you to retire early.
yeah, but it could also, and you will hope this is the case, it will also maybe light a fire under him. Like
Hopefully.
I'm a number one overall pick. I'm made 2 or 3 all-star teams. I'm 3-time all NBA defensive. And I'm a throw in. I'm a steal for somebody. Like, and that's my thing. You just don't know with him, bro, because he's so laid back. You don't know. Like, we've seen him play angry a couple times. You know what I'm saying? He had a 42-point game at Utah last year because they was talking about Gobert was the runaway defensive player of the year. So he ate Gobert up in Utah. But again, Embiid wasn't playing. A couple years ago, he ate up the Nets because Jared Dudley was like, if you get him in a half-court game, he's an average player. So he ate the Nets up in Brooklyn. But it's like, again, that's Jared Dudley. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, those are 2 examples, but you've been in the league 5 years. Like, those are too few and far in between. So
true.
I don't know, man. I guess to wrap it up, I think the slander is definitely warranted. I think he's just I think he's already been rewarded for not working on his game.
Mm-hmm.
And he may be like, you know, what's the point of doing it now? Hopefully all this slander and vitriol will motivate him to get in the gym, work on his jump shot, work on his free throws. Hopefully he'll get that mental help as well. You know, I sent it to you yesterday. Several people have reached out to him, including Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, aka Chris Jackson. He went to LSU, and so did Ben. So, and he was one of the, you know, elite shooters.
Still,
yeah.
The big
still.
3.
yeah, that's right. Still, so, a lot of people are reaching out to him, and I don't want to throw Ben away. You know what I'm saying? I never really was a huge fan of his just because I knew off top, like, he just played kind of, you know, but I don't want to throw the dude away. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely talented. The talent is there. And, you know, even though I said the slander was warranted, you know, I don't want to be consistent to where it mess him up, you know, personal wise. And then, like you said, he retired early and this and that. You know, I don't want that. He definitely has stuff he can give to the game. You know what I'm saying? And I'm rooting for him. I would like for him to bounce back. I don't know if it's going to be a Philly, but I would like for him to bounce back.
Yeah. Well, man, even though this wraps up this, we are going to be talking about what teams need.
For sure.
And so Philly is going to be obviously on it. We kind of already started talking about it, but we'll go into more details. And basically, it's going to be all the teams who lost in the playoffs. Just to kind of go over it real quick before we close out, we got the Celtics, the Lakers, the Blazers, the Sixers, the Jazz, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, the Knicks, the Heat, the Nets, the Grizzlies, and the Wizards. So that's coming up. Stay tuned for that.
My Knicks.
Oh, man.
If you talking about the Heat, I got to talk about my Knicks.
Listen, I just had the hat on, bro. That's all that is. That's all it is.
You ain't say all that. I got some paraphernalia too. I could have put it on, but that's okay. I'm gonna let you slide.
When we talk about your Knicks, then you can talk about it. You can wear your hat.
Same with your Heat.
Nah. Y'all take it easy, man. We see y'all on the next episode. Peace.